Hey guys, it's Justin Merrill again. So Paul Krugman wrote a blog post asking the question to Austrians, what do Austrians think about money market mutual funds? And a couple Austrians have replied to this, but I thought I would throw my hat into the ring because I have some points that no one else has brought up. So first, let me quote from Krugman's article. But the Ron Paul link in which he condemned fractional reserve banking prodded me to ask a question I've been meaning to ask. How did the Austrians propose dealing with money market funds? I mean, it has always been a peculiarity of that school of thought that it praises markets and opposes government intervention, but that at the same time it demands that the government step in to prevent the free market from providing a certain kind of financial service. Now, I share that critique of full reservists, Rothbardians, but I'll continue. He says later, but consider a more recent innovation, money market funds. Such funds are just a peculiar type of mutual fund, and surely the Austrians don't want to ban financial intermediation, or do they? Yet shares in a money market mutual fund are very clearly a form of money. That's debatable. You can even write checks on them, created out of thin air by financial institutions with very few pieces of green paper behind them. Okay, so I say that's debatable because money in a fractional reserve, actually in our modern banking system, consists of bank notes and bank deposits. So money market mutual funds are not money, even though you can write checks on them. They're not money because they are not bank notes or bank deposits. So in this regard, a CD is a certificate of deposit is money. A savings account is money. A checking account, obviously, currency is money. But a money market fund is not money because they receive money and then they go and buy assets with it, right? So if a money market mutual fund were money, then your 401k would be money, but he doesn't realize that. So Tom Woods has already made a video, and Mark Thornton and Joe Salerno have blogged replies to Krugman's critique at Mises.org, and they correctly point out that had Krugman sincerely wanted to know what Austrian position on money market mutual funds is, he could have Googled it and found the literature. The reason I'm bothering to throw my hat in the ring is because there are some things that Thornton and Salerno and Woods didn't mention, but are crucial to further exposing the intellectual fraud that is known as conscience of a liberal. By the end of the video, I think you'll agree that the blog should be renamed Unconsciousness of a Liberal, because he has to be dreaming when he writes it. Peculiar thing is, I'm not opposed to fractional reserve banking, but Krugman's dishonest attacks put me in an awkward position to defend the full reservists against false critiques. The truth is that time deposits in a full reserve system would behave exactly like money market mutual funds. MMMFs, I don't know if that's easier to say or not, are restricted to investing in amount equal to the amount deposited. But under a full reserve system and money market mutual funds, the deposits come first and the lending comes after, right? They take in deposits and then they go buy short-term securities like T-bills. But under a fractional reserve system, the lending comes first and the deposits are created, right? So if you go and get a loan from a bank, they'll lend you the money, and that creates the money. It's the reverse process in a money market mutual fund. So one, that's why they aren't money. But what my point is that he's questioning, what do Austrians think about this, peculiar arrangement of money market mutual funds and how Austrians have contradicted themselves and painted themselves into this corner, right? Well, no, actually, what he's critiquing is actually how full reserve banking would work in theory, right? So, strike one was that he didn't even sincerely try to find out the Austrian opinion. Strike two is that, full reserve banking would operate like mutual funds or money market mutual funds. And strike three against Krugman is that he tries to marginalize the full reservist position and make its adherents seem crazy, which I have my own qualms about the practicality and optimality of full reserve banking, but not because of a BS appeal to authority that no respectable economist would hold such views that Krugman tries to pull off, right? So Murray Rothbard and some modern Austrians are not the only people in history to support full reserve banking. Irving Fisher was a strong proponent of full reserve banking. He even wrote an entire book on it. He chaired a congressional committee of prominent economists of the day that arrived at the same conclusion and published a paper called A Program for Monetary Reform. And you can find this online. So this is problematic for Paul Krugman because he cited Irving Fisher frequently in his most recent book, In This Depression Now, which I'm going to be critiquing. I've written it, just putting the finishing touches on it. And so he cited Fisher frequently and embraced, albeit he misconstrued, Fisher's debt deflation theory. I'll go into that later in the critique. So to find out how Krugman doesn't understand Fisher, you'll have to check that out. Now, Chicago school economists proposed a full reserve system in the wake of the Great Depression, right? They pointed their finger at the fractional reserve system, saying that when there was a run on the banks, the money supply collapsed because people went to go pull money out of the bank that they'd pull the money out, and then banks had to call in loans, and this, caused the debt deflation theory, which is actually pretty similar, has overlap with Austrian business cycle theory, but maybe that's another video too. So this is problematic for Krugman, right? He's calling the Austrians crazy, but Irving Fisher had the same points of views, and he cites Irving Fisher as someone to have a worthy opinion of, right? So Milton Friedman even toyed with the idea of full reserve banking. And the IMF just released a working paper last month titled The Chicago Plan Revisited, which concludes strongly in favor of a full reserve monetary regime. Dennis Kucinich proposed a bill that would eliminate fractional reserve banking, and there's a left-wing think tank called American Monetary Institute that pushes a greenbacker regime that would end fractional reserve banking. So support for full reserve banking covers at least 3 schools of thought in the span of the political spectrum. I happen to think that they are wrong, but they can't be counted as crazy, right? It's an honest debate worth having. For Krugman to imply that they are fringe discredits his own book that leans on Irving Fisher. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you.